I said 8 years ago when I was pitching Ascribe, probably half of the value on Earth is intellectual property and data. And it's balanced on the other side by land and real estate and stocks and other types of value. And so if you can put a value on that intellectual property, we have 100 trillion to go. And so let's build an ecosystem that allows all 8 billion humans to play a role in this $100 trillion economy. I think that what's really important is that the community understands that they have as much of a role to play in building this data economy as the core team. Resourcing constraints on the core team should not limit the potential of Ocean and this data economy worth 100 trillion. And if we can find ways, all of us, to leverage this global community, then I think that this idea is unstoppable. Just like yield farming helped kickstart DeFi, data farming is going to help kickstarting the data economy where real consumption happens. I think just like airdrops for like the ENS or for Uniswap, turbocharged kind of community ownership, or some of these DEXs like SushiSwap, they were able to spread out ownership, and for that they got a lot more people interested and involved into the value proposition. I think data farming will do this for Ocean and bring a lot of energy, a lot of value, and a lot of excitement. At the core, we want to have an inclusive, welcoming community. I think that we all see that we have more alike on this planet as humans than we have differences. Last week, we announced with Riddle and Code, who is using kind of onboard computers for collecting data on Teslas. We talked a little bit about some of the work we're doing with the World Economic Forum stuff. So we're still working away. And if we can build a network of networks with validator nodes on top of that, then any of these chains will be able to call on that validator network to get services that they need. Think of like AWS in the metaverse. And if Ocean is that coordinating function that kind of hooks into all these services, we have essentially, not Ocean, but we as a community have essentially replaced AWS. We're not going to be the lowest cost provider compared to AWS because they're centralized. There's no way we can beat that. But where we beat them on is your data, your process, your supply chain, and all your intellectual property and identity you actually own.
All right, welcome to the Data Whale YouTube channel. My name is Moritz, and today we're super happy to have Bruce Pon, the founder of Ocean Protocol, on the channel here. Welcome, Bruce. As you all know, our channel is dedicated to a Web3 data economy fueled by Ocean Protocol. And yeah, today we have a couple of questions prepared for Bruce. Bruce, welcome to the channel.
It's great to be here. Thank you for having me, Moritz. And a shout out to all the Ocean Navy and supporters. We wouldn't be here without all of you.
Cool. So yeah, let's kick off with the first question for some of our viewers that might be new to the channel, might be new to Ocean Protocol too. We've prepared a short question, like just give us a short introduction about yourself and how the idea for Ocean Protocol was born.
Cool. Yeah, I joined the blockchain space in 2013, 2014. It was during one of the, I guess, the second two peak phases of Bitcoin previously. So not the 2017, but the one before that. And I got excited about using crypto and blockchain for assigning copyright and rights to digital property. That was described as probably one of the very first NFT platforms on Earth. And the idea evolved to the point where we generalized Ascribe and intellectual property to all data, any data asset out there. And that became Ocean Protocol starting in 2017. So for the last 4 years, we've been building a generalized kind of intellectual property and data exchange platform, which is now Ocean.
I saw a blog post by Trent on Twitter, and I was super excited to see that the first or maybe one of the first NFT transactions in the world on the Bitcoin platform, dated as far back as 2013, and together with an artist called Jonathan, I think. And yeah, that was really cool. That I mean, it's something, you know, that you guys had this idea back then, and probably was too early. Yeah, now doing something similar, but instead of art, you'll have data exchanged with the help of tokens.
Well, yes, actually, the learnings from Ascribe, we were trying to build kind of a web-based application built with decentralized plumbing. And the learnings from that allowed us to actually generalize any data sharing, any intellectual property sharing, video streaming, pictures, books, whatever. All of that actually fits within Ocean Protocol. So the vision of Ascribe is still there. It's giving creators the ability to monetize, to share, to have a kind of a clear provenance of transfer and audit trails. That's the same with Ocean today. So that's something that we're pretty happy about, that we've stuck to our vision even 8 years in. And I think we're closer to achieving this than it's closer than it is further away. That's for sure.
Can you tell us maybe a little bit about, I mean, obviously the objective of Ocean is to unlock data and to build this decentralized data exchange protocol. Maybe can you talk a little bit about how people of the crypto space nowadays could get involved with, you know, this new asset class of data tokens? And yeah, possibly you have some examples that, you know, just make it a bit clearer for people to understand on how they can exchange data, and, you know, what a Web3 data economy and data exchange is all about.
Okay, good. Yeah, we can talk kind of like, what is a Web3 data economy? A Web3 data economy is based on kind of self-sovereignty of your data, owning your identity, owning your money, and not relying on any central authority. Pretty much since the agrarian age through the industrial age until now in the computer age, we've always relied on central authorities. And that has some very good things in terms of efficiency, but it also has some very bad things in terms of control and kind of a self-sovereign individual. If you've read, I think, Lord Rees-Mogg's book, The Sovereign Individual, about how as society develops and people get more aware, they want to have more autonomy and they want to own more of their things. And if a central platform has it, then they can unilaterally, even capriciously, delete you from their database. This is things like Minority Report and all these things back in these movies that have kind of shown that this is conceivable in the future if we don't change it. And that's actually the fundamental Web3 economy. It is giving people the power to truly own their data, their ideas, their identity, and their money. And it's not opposed to, for instance, things like the nation state, but it takes us back to a level of personal self-sovereignty and responsibility, which a lot of people may not be as prepared for right now, but I think it becomes more and more natural as we move into a world where AI, automation, and robotics takes away manual labor and even some pretty strong jobs of like creative jobs away from people. And so the data econ, like Ocean Protocol, is meant to be the kind of the connective protocol for a data economy. And that is where I think that we're going to transition the 8 billion people on Earth from kind of an industrial economy into a knowledge economy. And that fundamentally is a data economy.
And in addition to that, you've sort of linked DeFi with this data economy. I mean, DeFi is an incredible trend, and, you know, linking it and making it possible for people to take part in the data economy with, you know, for example, the Ocean market, the Ocean marketplace, where it's available on market.oceanprotocol.com. Maybe you can just tell us a little bit about that, and, you know, how people can really get involved, because data is still a very, I mean, it's difficult to understand for a lot of people. But in my opinion, when I've seen the Ocean market, like, it became clear on the potential that Ocean Protocol actually has. And yeah, maybe you can just give us a short brief on the marketplace.
Sure. So just as kind of a fundamentals, we saw that a new system, a decentralized system where a community-run protocol could be more effective, faster scaling, and grow faster than like a centralized platform. That's kind of the main concept. On top of that, you have a token, which it's a coordinating function that allows people to be incentivized either by owning the token, seeing it grow in value, and that token kind of is a representation of the heartbeat of that type of economy, the connective tissue. On top of that token, we built the ocean market, and that was a realization that we built these great smart contracts, but people weren't able to use them. So we said, okay, let's pop it up one stack. So instead of the smart contract developers, those tools are already there now. Let's pop it up a stack so the JavaScript developers can do it. So these are the guys who understand webs, marketplaces, all that sort of stuff. And there, all we do is expose the smart contracts that allow for people to buy and sell data, use tools like privacy preserving compute, and also integrate in with the composability of the entire crypto space, which is ERC20 tokens, ERC721 tokens, where you can mix and match different aspects, like, for instance, NFTs, the DeFi protocols, lending, stablecoins, and all that sort of stuff on top of the ocean market. And the DeFi movement is extremely complementary to the data economy, because one of the things that we wanted to do with the core smart contracts that we had built as an underlayer is to allow that handshake to happen of data trading. And we always saw that a financialization of that process would be very helpful, and DeFi gave us that. So it saved us a lot of work with the community essentially working together to build the entire ecosystem around DeFi across the multiple networks and chains. And now we can integrate that into the ocean market. And so that composability, that integration allows for anybody who understands kind of data wallets, MetaMask wallets, so Web3 wallets, to start playing in the data economy, to start acquiring data pseudonymously if they wanted to use crypto tokens to buy data. So you're not limited by geography anymore. So maybe if there's no data available in your local country, because it's not like America or Western Europe or what have you, you could still acquire that data token on any decentralized exchange and still get that data by using crypto tokens. So it's a huge leveling of the playing field, because anybody who has an internet connection and then understands Web3 can start participating either by staking on data sets and saying, I believe in this data set and I want to get a cut of the transaction fees, so I stake some of my data or stake some of my ocean. I start producing data from any IoT device, sensors, etc. Or I start curating and providing like value-added marketing, promotion services, rating services, and analysis services on top. And then for instance, anybody who runs operations DevOps, they can also provide things like compute to data as a service. So there's multiple ways for people to participate in this new economy. But if we're completely honest, it's still pretty early. The tooling is getting there, but it's still immature, and the awareness of this potential is not broadly known.
When I speak about the Ocean protocol and the Ocean token, for me, the Ocean token is sort of the underlying currency of the data economy. I mean, it has so much utility. People can use the Ocean token to tokenize their data and create data tokens, and then can use the Ocean token to stake on data sets, purchase data sets, etc. And that's all possible on the Ocean market. And that's something that I found to be super interesting. And as you rightly said, we're still very early, but I think that there is a massive potential there. You know, being early in this space, I see that Ocean Protocol is fostering a lot of big partnerships. Maybe you can just explain some of the main partnerships that Ocean Protocol has and how this helps you to encourage awareness and the utility of the decentralized data exchange protocol.
So we try to be as friendly as possible with the rest of the community. We try not to think about competitors and all that sort of stuff, because we think that right now crypto is a team sport. Everybody benefits as the space moves forward together. So we benefit from the NFT craze, we benefit from the DeFi craze, we benefit from stable coins, as well as the general awareness of Bitcoin itself. all the exchanges that are being developed and stuff like that to allow for access on-ramps from anywhere on Earth, we all benefit. And so I think Ocean is just one piece of all that. And the more we can partner with different aspects, whether they're exchanges, DeFi, NFTs, as well as industrial partners and other crypto companies, crypto projects, crypto protocols, the better it is. The way that we think about it is that it's an ecosystem. And an ecosystem requires a lot of different skill sets, a lot of different players, and ideas that are on the fringe, ideas that are a little bit more mature but still experimental, and then some ideas that are kind of dead obvious that people should be trying out sooner, right? So for instance, rating services on data, that's something that was found pretty quickly. Wallets for data, managing your data assets, different liquidity services or tools to help you kind of put money and stake on it. There's a whole bunch of services around kind of the data economy that are kind of obvious. There's some that are more experimental and we don't know, and then there's some that are really fringe and we just have no idea whether they work. But the key thing is that you have as many ideas from as many different people as possible, whether they're technical developers, they're operational and kind of enterprise onboarding, or they're like marketing and community oriented, because we need kind of a business, technology, and a social aspect to every protocol. And so if specific to the partnerships that you talked about, we see that working with, for instance, industrials is useful because they will have probably some of the strictest requirements for us to understand. And we don't have to implement all of those requirements, but we need to understand the design space well enough so that we can find the right line of what do we build right now to meet the needs of the global kind of data economy at this stage. And so we're really excited to partner with industrials, governments, and et cetera, so that that understanding can develop faster than not.
Definitely a huge potential. And yeah, and I mean, you know, looking back at, for example, the NFT mania, right? So you guys had this idea back in 2013. You know, it took maybe probably five more years or 6 more years, or like until today, where this idea really matured. So it was NFT. Now it looks like there's GameFi and the metaverse is upcoming. What does it take in your opinion, what does it take for the Web3 data economy to kick off? And what do you see as some of the challenges for people to adopt this asset class of data tokens?
So I think right now at the highest level, awareness isn't there. People are aware that their data is being used in ways that they don't know about and they might not feel comfortable with. Everybody has this visceral feeling. So that part of the awareness is there. From the path of that awareness to actually taking action and saying, this is something I demand, we have a little bit of a path to go. And for that, we need, for instance, the Ocean Navy talking to as many different communities and groups as possible to let them know that there is a new way to share data, and the data economy is coming. A data economy for people and the data providers, and not for the Web2 companies that kind of hoard your data and use it in ways that you may not like or want. A second thing that we need is tooling. This whole space has moved forward so fast, so quickly, but in the data space, it's still very fragmented. What you've seen in, for instance, DeFi and NFT world is that the energy is coalesced around platforms and ideas, and various industries from, let's say, the NFTs. The sporting industry is now coming on very aggressively. You have the influencers coming on. You have the art world coming on. And this is what we foresaw, by the way, for Ascribe, actually. We saw this plus a whole bunch of other different verticals coming online. That has happened, it feels like, all in the span of 8 months. And that's what we need to see in the data economy to get it going, but we need the tooling. And so that tooling is being developed right now as part of Ocean Protocol, but also as part of many other tools. So we need things like privacy preserving tooling. We need kind of third-party compute to data type services, so privacy preserving services. We need kind of Web3 analytics tools that you can buy using tokens and then deploy it on top of the data that you're ingesting. You're going to need things like decentralized data stores like Arweave and Filecoin, where they're integrated in. You need kind of oracles for feeds of data in terms of how fresh is that data. And so that whole tooling is being built. Once again, it's all composable, it's all complementary. And when we reach a certain tipping point, I think Ocean will be kind of at that intersection. And so I talked about awareness. That's number one. That's our number one job right now, is just get the word out. Number two is in the background, we're building tooling. And then the third thing is another hard part, which is data today is in the Web 2 silos and it's designed to be locked up. So we need a way to unlock that, whether it's incentives. We're thinking of coming out with this thing called data farming, which is essentially giving incentives for publishing, for curating, and for the people who consume data, they get some rewards. That's something we planned from the very start all the way in 2017. And so we're designing that program now. And we're hoping that that type of incentive, just like yield farming helped kickstart DeFi, data farming is going to help kickstarting the data economy, where real consumption happens and data starts becoming designed not to be locked up, but rather shared, but under the conditions where a data owner feels comfortable. So I think those are the three things that we're working towards.
Yeah, we're all super excited. I mean, awareness is definitely something that is super important to get things kicked off. And I think the last point that you've made regarding data farming, we've heard some bits and pieces. Like Trent, he had an AMA on the Ocean Protocol official channel. He said that data farming will be very generous. And so I think that will help to sort of spread the word in the ecosystem of cryptocurrency and blockchain in general. Are there some hints, some details of what we can expect for data farming? Are you able to drop something here, or maybe just give us your opinion on data farming in general?
So I pretty much said kind of the overarching layer, right? We have 51% of the rewards that are designed to be given to the community. And the idea with these systems is many of the earliest protocols did a relatively big pre-mine of tokens to the founding team and the foundations. We tried to minimize that. So we tried to minimize the amount. We gave enough to the investors so that they could get a piece of the Ocean token. We gave a reasonable amount to the founding team and the foundation to be deployed as well. And then we reserved the majority of tokens to incentivize further consumption of data and the kind of nurturing of the ecosystem. And we're holding to that because I think that that is one way that a system can give back and continue to grow and stay fresh. So the initial people who might have acquired Ocean tokens and invested in the project early on, they might have been looking for something different than the people now who are maybe AI researchers, data scientists, and data providers. And the whole idea is that as we shift into the adoption phase of Ocean Protocol, we want to reward anybody who participates in that. And in fact, we want to give the majority of the rewards to those folks if we're going to have some sort of inflation of tokens. If we're going to release tokens, we want to go to people who are adding value to the ecosystem. We see this now kind of in early phases with Ocean DAO, which is a grants DAO. So it gives away oceans to projects that make proposals that the community says, yeah, let's give it a shot. But there's also things like data farming. There's also a potential that you could have like an Ocean network, which is essentially it's a network of validator nodes that provides services such as compute to data from third party, or maybe transfers and other types of services. So what we've always seen is that Ocean Protocol is kind of a coordination protocol for the various parts of the data economy. So if you need to access storage, you use Ocean Protocol to go there and provision that. You go to a compute service, using Ocean Protocol to get the compute on, and then you go to another service for analytics, and then you come back and then you store it back at that thing. Well, Ocean Protocol is actually that kind of coordinating function. And if you actually have a network of validators, that whole kind of concept could be run using some sort of validator network that allows for staking on the validators, and the validators could also earn something. So there's multiple kind of ways that we see Ocean becoming truly community driven and owned over time, so that it really kind of matures with the data economy.
And I think for those of the viewers that don't know Ocean DAO, it's a grant funding DAO. So it's basically, if any of you out there have an idea on how to create value for Ocean Protocol, you can head on over to oceanprotocol.com/DAO. And every month there is a grants are available for people to apply for. And DataWave, for example, we're building a mobile app on top of the Ocean market. And this was only possible because of the grant funding from Ocean Protocol, from the DAO. And basically Ocean token holders can vote for or against your project, depending on whether they think that you're doing a good job. And you can obviously come back and return. And also, you have to obviously prove that you're delivering what you promised in earlier rounds in order to reapply for new funding. So I really encourage everyone, if you're holding Ocean tokens, please go head on over and vote for the projects. And if you have a great idea, and even be it just as simple as, creating some outreach, some Telegram groups, some general activities surrounding Ocean, you can, and you're able to apply for a grant from the Ocean DAO. Bruce, in your opinion, like, what's missing in the ecosystem right now? In your opinion, like, what would be a great idea what should be for applicants towards the Ocean DAO? What should be a focus right now?
We're trying to build an ecosystem, which means, as I kind of said, there's a spectrum of kind of ideas that everybody kind of agrees, this could make sense. Ideas that are a little bit more experimental, and then some edgy ideas that are way off in the corner. We need all of them. We need hundreds of experiments. I hope that the Ocean DAO and the Ocean DAO voters support these experiments, because only with that are you going to kind of see the design space show up in front of you. What I can tell you is, as I said earlier, onboarding support, whether it's technical onboarding to help developers get up and running faster with tooling, documentation, etc. Business support, helping enterprises understand the value of the data and to help walk them through the process to start unlocking that data, consulting them maybe, all that sort of stuff. And then social onboarding, which is education. So things like Ocean Academy, what you're doing with your YouTube channel, Ocean Pearl, just various things that help people understand the social aspect and the telling the story of how the data economy can look in the next 5 to 10 years in different ways based on what you believe and what you're seeing. We'd like to see, with data farming, we think that we are going to get a lot more AI researchers, academics, companies, and governments experimenting, because it's an interesting business model, especially for some NGOs and stuff who might have a lot of data. These non-governmental organizations also don't have a lot of money in many cases. So it's a way to maybe monetize their value. And we, like I said, we encourage the experimentation. And at the core, we want to have an inclusive, welcoming community. I think that we all see that we have more alike on this planet as humans than we have differences. And you see that when you travel. You see that when we talk about common values. And I think that many of the Web2 services have done an excellent job of splitting us apart unnecessarily.
I like that notion. I support it fully. Something that I'm also interested in, generally, I think, what's your sort of take on the biggest risk for the protocol? Maybe that's something that, you can just tell us your opinion about, and also the biggest risk towards maybe the Web3 data economy.
So I think it's wide open right now. we're still building. Just like NFTs are wide open. 8 years ago, it was completely unknown. We got laughed out of certain rooms in along Madison Avenue in New York, in London. They didn't understand what NFTs were. It was just this concept of digital scarcity and owning something that's like in the metaverse. People just didn't get that. With the data economy, the idea is clear. People have a visceral understanding and knowledge of what it means, but the design space is still not well understood. And I think that that is probably one of the main tasks that we have in front of us, is to really understand the components and elucidate so that people start seeing the landscape of what a data economy looks like in the future. Once you have that, the next risk is not scaling fast enough, thinking too small, thinking that the data economy is one single project like Ocean necessarily, and not thinking in the trillions of dollars, which is what a mature ecosystem looks like. A mature ecosystem like Bitcoin is $1 trillion, and it's getting even better. It'll reach probably, within 2 cycles, 5 trillion or 10 trillion in value. And we're not really thinking of the data economy in the trillions yet. I don't think that people really grasp that. They think in the hundreds of millions or billions. But if you don't think big, because the potential is there, then you might undershoot in terms of the ambition. And I think that we as a community, a global community in the Web3 economy and the Ocean Protocol data economy, I think that we're going to unlock trillions of value. I had a talk with one of the core team members, and they said, is what's happening right now a transfer of wealth from the old guard to the new guard? And I said, it could be. But what it's more likely is, it's value creation of unlocking potential that has been latent, and now we're just getting a monetary signal on it. And for me, that's the data economy. I said 8 years ago when I was pitching Ascribe, probably half of the value on Earth is intellectual property and data. And it's balanced on the other side by land and real estate and stocks and other types of value. And so if you can put a value on that intellectual property, we have 100 trillion to go. And so let's build an ecosystem that allows all 8 billion humans to play a role in this $100 trillion economy. And then I guess the third thing is the Ocean Protocol core team is small. And I think that what's really important is that the community understands that they have as much of a role to play in building this data economy as the core team. Resourcing constraints on the core team should not limit the potential of Ocean and this data economy worth 100 trillion. And if we can find ways, all of us, to leverage this global community, then I think that this idea is unstoppable. And I really hope that we all kind of look for ways to add value, look for ways to spread the word, and just do your part, because we all viscerally feel that a Web3 data economy is probably better than the current data economy that we have right now.
I literally had goosebumps when you were talking about what's possible in the future. So actually, it's my last question to you. So now Ocean Market V4, we're all highly anticipating it next year in Q1. What are some of the other visionary changes that you'd love to achieve with Ocean Protocol, say, over the next 3 to 5 years?
So V4 is kind of what we think is the next best cut after our V3. It solves many of the problems that appeared in V3, and the team has been working really hard on this on the technical side. That's one of the reasons why we've been a little bit more quiet than we were in the past. But we've been still working closely with partners, and you've seen that with the partnerships we've announced to get Ocean integrated into various data marketplaces. We announced EWT just, I think, a couple of days ago. Last week, we announced with Riddle and Code, who is using kind of onboard computers for collecting data on Teslas. We talked a little bit about some of the work we're doing with the World Economic Forum stuff. So we're still working away, but a lot of the foundational work for V4 required kind of a refactoring of the architecture, and that's, the team's been working very, very hard on that. So beyond this, I think just like airdrops for like the ENS or for Uniswap, turbocharged kind of community ownership, or some of these dexes like Sushi Swap. They were able to spread out ownership, and for that they got a lot more people interested and involved into the value proposition. I think data farming will do this for Ocean and bring a lot of energy, a lot of value, and a lot of excitement. So data farming after V4 is something that I think is going to work very well. You could see after V3 in October 2020 that there was a ton of energy, but because of some of the design flaws, that energy dissipated for a while, and we're fine with that because we needed to build it, and we didn't. We wanted to make V4 something that is sustainable for everybody, data consumers, data stakers, as well as data providers. And I think V4 gives that. Data farming now puts, gas on the fire to allow all these people to start benefiting by getting network rewards. Beyond that, I think we're heading into a world where you're going to have multiple interoperable chains. Some are parachains. You're going to have multiple deployments, proof of stake or otherwise, where Ocean is on top of anything EVM compatible, whether they're private chains, consortium chains, or even public chains. And if we can build a network of networks with validator nodes on top of that, then any of these chains will be able to call on that validator network to get services that they need. Think of like AWS in the metaverse. And if Ocean is that coordinating function that kind of hooks into all these services, we have essentially, not Ocean, but we as a community have essentially replaced AWS. We're not going to be the lowest cost provider compared to AWS because they're centralized. There's no way we can beat that. But where we beat them on is your data, your process, your supply chain, and all your intellectual property and identity you actually own, whether it's with like an identity protocol like Kilt or Fractal or some other one. Your storage on Arweave, it's forever storage. Your computation, which could be on TrueBit, could be compute to data, etc. Your analytics, all this stuff is essentially a replacement of AWS. And so if you look at the value of Amazon and AWS, I think it's $1 trillion company right now. Think of that times 10 or 50. That is what we as a space are doing. And Ocean is trying to be that coordinating layer on top of all of that. That's what we're looking to do. And we want a vibrant data economy that's permissionless, it's open, it allows people from all over the world to participate and add value and to get benefits and rewards. And I think that that is the way that we get over this hump of AI, robotics, and automation, taking away all these manual jobs and giving us things that we get excited about to wake up to. Just like most of the crypto community, I just get the sense that anybody in crypto gets up every day excited. And anybody who has, taken the pill to come into crypto, all of a sudden they have a different look on life. They're not working a 9-to-5 corporate job. They're not, thinking, this sucks. They're really getting energy from doing something that gives them kind of sovereignty over themselves. And that's kind of the vision we're working towards. And the data economy is a fundamental part of that.
Bruce, super cool. Thanks so much for being here today. We really appreciate that you took the time and answer our questions. And it definitely brought a lot of clarity. And I think I've even have my header now for the video itself. Super, super cool. And we're really grateful that you've made it. Thanks a lot.
It's been my pleasure. Thank you very much. Thanks for all the work you guys have been doing.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye. See you.
Thank you. Bye.